Hi, everybody. I wanted to get back to you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to finish up part 5 of the Parallel Universes of the Self by Dotson. He has so many really wonderful ideas, and I realized at the end there's a lot of questions that you can ask yourself if you read the book. And so I don't want to go into those types of things. So I just want to finish up what I found out and let you know what I found out with what I did read so that you could have a little, I could have closure, you could have closure. So thank you. Um, one of the things that he says is the reason we resist new reality creation is the firm belief that we are this or that. And I really liked that. I feel like we limit ourselves by putting labels on ourselves or thinking we cannot do something because we are not, let's say, psychic. We aren't available. We don't have the gifts that are available to other people, or bet someone in another venue is better than I am at this or that. And we have to, there's a great need, I believe, right now for us to dismiss that idea because we can create our own reality. We do create our own reality. And to not be open to creating that reality because we have these labels or feelings about what we are uh, creates hardship in us, and that holds back the reality creation. Um, and so we have to learn if a desire is calling us, that the desire is showing us who we are. It may be not who we were at 17 or 18 or 42 or whatever other age that we were, but it might be the new who we are in this period of time, in this learning curve that we're in. I was able to be regressed over the weekend, and I had a lot of illumination come through, which has given me a lot more opening and a lot more of a look at the deeper gifts that I can bring to the world, to myself. I am not the be all and end all. I mean, I'll watch somebody like Tyler Henry, and he can just say anything he wants, and it's all very validating. But it's okay because I think we all have gifts and we all need to remember that. And we all need to trust our own intuition above and beyond what other people tell us. So that's very important. Um, we can reach or get a new, deeper connection with any part that's already existing within us, because the full potentiality has always been there and always will be there. And we just have to embrace that potentiality. There are two types of selves that we are. We are a world self and an infinite self. The world self has to live out in the 3D world, unfortunately. The infinite self is the higher oversoul. And this is the self that projects itself and tells us who we are and how we believe. And it projects into various existences, dimensions, parallel universes, spaces, and timelines. So it's not just one timeline, one space. It's the parallel ways that we can go about living. Our higher selves perceive, observe, and witness events. And when it identifies with something, it becomes a part of our core identity. And so we know that when we're younger, we have, let's say we meet some people that influence us, and we believe that's part of our core identity. But people change all the time, including ourselves. And so we have to say that was my core identity, but it might not be my core identity any longer. And that's okay because it's integrated into who I am and what I believe. I never look back. I never say, if this hadn't happened then, because you had to let everything happen the way that it happened. It has to be that way. Our core identity says, I am you, I am, and you saying, you are this. It is not what you are. For instance, I have to do this in order to, quote, be myself. Well, that is a yearning. So if you believe that you have to belong to a community in order for it to be you to feel the most comfortable or your most authentic self, then you can do that and be that very thing. It recognizes nonsense in limiting beliefs, and that it is a spontaneous self or free self that can only either identify or disidentify with anything. Our core identity knows of higher self and higher knowing. We know, except we don't trust we know. And that's what's holding us back from being who we are. Our identity is the I am that's made up of our character traits, our personality, our mental images, our beliefs, intentions, and physical looks, which we identify with. Oh, I am old. I am young. I am a white woman. I am. And yet we're more than that. We're so much more than that. And it identifies who we are in relation to others. So if I saw my children and they said, what would you like to identify with? I would say, I am a mother, because there's my children. And so, but we're more than just mothers. We're more than just everything. We embody the entire thing that we are. The viewpoint of our own perception of the world self is how we appear to be to the world. We need to claim our identity, be ambivalent about our identity, or resistant and projected identity, and an unwitting identity, because other people are perceiving it and they're reacting to it in such a way that this is bringing it to us. I find all of that absolutely fabulous information that really is something that we have to ponder on, because we don't take the time to see ourselves in more than what we put into a little box, unless we take the time to write down maybe and identify some of these things for ourselves. Who is the who I want to be seen as? Maybe we are a person who's a nonconformist, but it took us forever to get to that point, and we're finally being authentic. It's never too late to do that. The claimed identity are the traits we claim to experience a specific reality. So, for instance, whatever we put into situations that match what we claim. So we might say to ourselves, I am a runner. If you were a person who liked to go into races. So you put yourself in a running situation. So you claim that, and then you show that as proof of your claim. We don't have to prove anything to anybody, not even to ourselves. We just have to believe that we can be whatever it is we want to be. An ambivalent identity is composed of traits we desire or resist at times. For instance, we might have a love-hate relationship with being a doctor, or being a lawyer, or being a teacher, or being a psychic. It's very, very difficult. But ambivalence is, I don't really care if I do, and I don't really care if I don't. It's not hate. It's not love. It doesn't really matter. Resistant and projected identity is, I'm good, he's bad. It's saying to yourself, or I'm not as good as a psychic as this person is, or I don't have the gifts this person shows, or they're much better than I am. That's a belief system that doesn't have to exist, because we're all different and yet so much the same. And we all have specific gifts that are stronger than others in different areas. This doesn't have to be just spiritual gifts. This can be any kind of gift. Oh, look at that painting on the wall. I wish I could paint like that. That person's much better than I am. No, that's your perception. Some people would disagree with you. Okay. The realization is both sides are true. Both sides of this. You also bring in something you perceive as different than other people perceive. And we do this. Things aren't just black and white, though. We have to change up that whole paradigm. An unwitting identity is a set of traits we take on or project without noticing that the masks that we're wearing subconsciously. So maybe it's small talk you have to make with somebody that you're not a person that likes small talk, and you don't have anything in common with somebody, but you're going to try to find the commonality in them by talking with them. Our approval identity is a set of traits we take on to be beneficial, but they are false identities that we claim to avoid disapproval. I remember saying when I was about 15 years old, my boyfriend then liked a certain band, and I do too. I do too. I didn't even ever hear of them before until that person mentioned them. They were not somebody that I would have ever listened to, but I thought it was important for me to be on the same page at that time as a young person, and I wanted approval. And so I brought that. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Identity is a defined viewpoint from which life is experienced, and our identity can shift all the time. We've seen it happen. We have some people that are stuck in an identity, and there are some people that change and shift like chameleons. It allows the experience of one parallel universe as distinguished from another. Infinite consciousness, which flows through an identity, becomes attention. The traits of the identity determine which facets of reality attention will flow towards routinely, and therefore which realities are consolidation to physical form. The claimed identity wishes to assume certain viewpoints and steer attention and efforts corresponding to that viewpoint that it wants to experience. There are recognizable traits of our identities that we can claim always, and they are shifting. Our beliefs, our attitudes, our morals, our memories, our preferences, our habits, our addictions, our emotions, our pain, our body posture, our presence, our originality, relative status, relationships, and the use of language are just some of those traits that define everyone's identity. We also have group identity. We identify with a group of people who believe in the same sorts of things that we believe in. And we also know that we meet people sometimes that we instantly like or instantly don't like, even when we don't know why. It's that interesting set of intuition that reminds us, maybe it's a past life affiliation, whatever it is, we have had that experience, all of us. Notice what is being projected or what you're resisting in your identity, and from that, extrapolate the other side. What is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm not seeing? Dotson says. He said, if someone causes you to react emotionally, that is a very strong indication that you are seeing an identity disidentification, let's put it that way. In other words, you don't see it. It isn't what the truth is to your feeling, to your intuition. Observe reality as you just see it. See an expression of it as projected identity, realizing that we are not always the ones that really can determine what it is we see is actually true. We discover interactions of both together, and we've seen that with people who hedge or they want to look at both sides of an issue, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. We can also define it as no longer you or who you want to be, and you don't have to invalidate anybody else because of it, but you can say, gee, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be that complainer. I don't want to be that person that's angry all the time. I don't want to be that person that does this. That we realize that we are mirrors. And when we see something that mirrors our own behavior, we get triggered sometimes because we don't like it in ourselves. And now we're seeing it in the other person. And then releasing any unwanted habits, things that just don't serve us and put us in this rotation of pain or anguish. Um, there was an interesting section in the book that said leaving the cycle of reincarnation usually happens when the soul lesson is on courage or love. And we say to ourselves, I've been there. I've done the lesson on courage. I've done the lesson on love. I'm done. I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back. We can determine whether or not we do when we are ready to incarnate again. The other thing that's very important is that we do not get what we want. We get what we are. This is vital for us to realize. We get what we are. And if we're doubters, if we're people that don't believe that we can achieve something, that's what we're going to get. And we're going to wonder, why? Well, I thought I was manifesting something good, because you had the doubt you hadn't released. It's very vital to release that doubt. Finally, I want to mention one of the most interesting chapters that I had skipped over earlier because I wanted to mention it at the end, and it's the chapter on magic. Linear thinking is not the way that magic happens. If we see things as being on a linear continuum, this happened in the past, this is happening now, and this is going to happen in the future, we're not going to get what we want. We're not going to see the truth, because time and space is not linear. We are experiencing all of these things in the now. And in order for us to manifest what it is that we want, we do not want to put it out there. We don't want to say, this is what I want. We want to say, this is what I have currently. That is what brings you in and gives you the magic in order to manifest. We are already infinite, multidimensional beings. And so our growth or progression is only an appearance, because we already had it. If we're just recognizing it, that's beautiful, because it's never too late. It's trying to say, you're not recognizing it too late. You're just realizing it, but you should have realized it all along. It's always been there. Enlightenment is not a permanent state of being. It shifts, it flows. We may go a while before getting our next, let's say, etheric experience or ability to do something that we may feel was phenomenal and above what it is we imagined. But using the word magic to describe them makes those experiences so. And what I will say, it was no less than magic that happened to me over the weekend with a past life regression that will be shared eventually after it's edited and so on. It was magical. It created miracles. It created mystery, and it created oh wow, it just validation. It created validation. Loosen the definition of the way you see the word magic. It's not woo-woo, witchery. It's not just that. It's living. We're magical just by being here, just by living in this beautiful universe. View miracles as common, and they become so. You can expect it, but don't limit the way for it to come in. It doesn't. How this comes in is none of your business. Let the universe take care of it. Remember that spirit is the one in charge, not you. It could be in a dream. It could be in a beautiful sunset. It could be in a feeling of at-one-ment or atonement, same word. And it could be simply watching something that you've watched over and over again and understanding it as the miraculous thing that is life and the miraculous thing that is you. Thank you for listening for all of these wonderful segments of this book. And I hope that you get a chance to read it if possible, if that's what you're interested in doing. Because to me, it was layer upon layer upon layer of magnificent information that we need reiteration on. We need to remember and believe, and that this will bring us the joy that we are so privy to in our world. Much love to you. Please like and subscribe. Put a comment in if you would. It helps my algorithms. Thank you for being subscribers, members, viewers. Much love to you. Namaste. Bye-bye.